Let's be real for a second. You're tired. Not the kind of tired that a cup of coffee fixes, but the kind of tired that lives deep in your bones. You open your eyes, the room is still dark, and before you even take a full breath, you reach for it. That glowing rectangle on your nightstand. Within 30 seconds, you've invited 300 strangers, a dozen world crises, and 20 people living better lives than you right into your bed. You haven't even put your feet on the floor yet, and you've already lost. You've let the world hijack your brain. You're playing defense in a game you didn't even realize started. Imagine your mind is like a clear, calm lake at dawn. It's perfectly still. Then, you pick up that phone. It's like throwing a massive, jagged rock into the water. Splash. The ripples turn into waves. The mud at the bottom gets kicked up. The clarity? Gone. For the rest of the day, you're trying to see through murky water, wondering why you feel anxious, why you can't focus, and why you feel like you're constantly running behind a bus you'll never catch. There's a group of people who don't live like this. They aren't superhuman. They don't have more hours in the day than you do. But they have a secret. They've built a fortress around their first 60 minutes. While the rest of the world is drowning in notifications, these people are sharpening their swords. They aren't reacting to life, they are dictating it. They aren't waking up into a mess, they are waking up into a mission. And the gap between where you are and where they are isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of a single brutal choice you make before the sun even comes up. We've been sold a lie that being connected is the same as being prepared. We think that checking the news or our emails the second we wake up makes us informed. It doesn't. It makes us victims. It turns us into a pinball, getting smacked around by whatever notification hits us hardest. If the first thing you see is a stressful work email, your heart rate spikes. If it's a negative comment on social media, your mood sours. You are letting an algorithm decide if you're going to have a good day or a bad day. Does that sound like freedom to you? Does that sound like being the boss of your own life? Stoicism isn't about sitting on a mountain and ignoring the world. It's about being the eye of the hurricane. It's about realizing that while you can't control the weather, the traffic, or the economy, you have absolute total authority over the space between your ears. But that authority is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And every time you scroll through TikTok at 6 am, you're letting that muscle atrophy. You're telling your brain that the outside world is more important than your internal peace. Think about the most successful, grounded people you know. Do you think they start their day by letting a stranger's political opinion or a flashy advertisement live rent-free in their heads? No. They guard their attention like it's the most valuable currency on earth, because it is. Everything you want in life. The better job, the stronger body, the deeper relationships, it all starts with the ability to focus. If you can't control your focus for the first hour of the day, what makes you think you can control your life for the next 16? This isn't just about productivity hacks or morning routines. This is about a psychological war for your soul. There is a multi-billion-dollar industry designed specifically to keep you distracted, reactive, and small. They want you tired. They want you scrolling. They want you comparing your behind-the-scenes footage to everyone else's highlight reel. Because as long as you are looking at them, you aren't looking at yourself. As long as you are reacting to their world, you aren't building yours. But here's the good news. The door to the 1% isn't locked. You don't need a special invite or $1 million to walk through it. You just need to change the way you meet the morning. You need to stop being a spectator in your own life. We're going to break down exactly how the most powerful minds in history reclaimed their mornings and how you can do the same starting tomorrow. This isn't just a change your habits speech. This is a manual for taking back your power. Because the truth is, the way you spend your morning is a preview of the way you spend your life. Are you ready to stop being a passenger? To understand how to win this war for your attention, we have to look at a concept the old-school Stoics called the inner citadel. Think of your mind like a massive high-walled fortress. Inside those walls, you are the king. You decide who gets in, what the rules are, and where the resources go. But when you wake up and grab that phone, it's like leaving the front gates wide open and inviting a thundering mob to come in and trash the place. They're knocking over the furniture, spray painting the walls, and shouting in your ears. By the time you actually get out of bed, your citadel is a wreck, and you're spent trying to clean up the mess. The 1% understand that the morning is the time to reinforce those walls. They don't let a single soul inside until they've done their inspection. In the 1800s, there wasn't Instagram, but there was still noise. Marcus Aurelius, the guy who basically ran the entire Roman Empire, the most powerful man on the planet at the time, wrote in his private journal about the struggle of getting out of bed. He didn't have a snooze button, but he had the same human resistance you feel. He told himself, "I am rising to do the work of a human being." He didn't view the morning as a burden. He viewed it as a duty to his own potential. If a Roman emperor with literally 1,000,000 problems at his doorstep could find the discipline to center himself before facing the world, what's our excuse? We aren't managing empires, we're managing apps. We've become soft because we've traded our peace for convenience. We've traded our command for comfort. But here's the thing about comfort. It's a slow-acting poison. It feels good in the moment to stay under the covers and see what happened on the internet while you were asleep, but it leaves you feeling weak and hollow by noon. You have to realize that your brain is in a unique state when you first wake up. You're transitioning from theta waves to alpha waves. You're literally in a hyper-suggestible state. You are a sponge. If the first thing you soak up is a headline about a disaster or a photo of your ex having a blast, you are literally programming your subconscious to be in a state of stress or envy for the next 12 hours. You're setting the vibe for your entire existence on a foundation of garbage. Compare that to the 1% protocol. They use that hyper-suggestible window to program something else, intent. They don't need a 3-hour ritual with kale smoothies and mountain hikes. They just need 5 minutes of absolute ownership. They sit in the silence. They acknowledge the thoughts swirled up in their heads, but they don't chase them. They practice what the Stoics called prosohe, constant watchfulness. They are the gatekeepers of their own minds. Imagine if tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for that phone, you just sat on the edge of your bed, just 60 seconds. No noise, no input, just you. You'd feel a physical itch to check your messages. That itch is the addiction. That's the mob trying to force the gates open. Every second you sit there and don't give in, you are taking a brick back. You are rebuilding your wall. You are telling your lizard brain, I am the one who makes the decisions here, not the Silicon Valley engineers who designed this app to keep me hooked. This is where most people fail. They think discipline is this huge, heroic effort. It's not. It's a series of tiny, boring victories. It's the victory of choosing the cold air of the room over the warmth of the blanket. It's the victory of looking at your reflection in the mirror before you look at a screen. It's about creating a buffer zone between you and the chaos of the world. Think of your energy like a battery. Every time you react to something, a text, a notification, a loud noise, you lose a few percentage points. If you start your day reacting, you're at 50% before you even finish your first cup of coffee. The 1% arrive at their desk at 9 Tupreco and with 100% of their battery intact. They haven't wasted a single drop of mental energy on things that don't matter. They've saved it all for their mission. They aren't smarter than you, they're just less leaked. They've plugged the holes in their bucket. So, if the first step is building the wall, the second step is deciding what happens inside the courtyard. Most people think taking control means doing more. They think they need a 14-step morning routine that involves ice baths, journaling for an hour, and reading a book before the sun comes up. Look, if you can do that, great. But for most of us living in the real world, that's just another way to fail. You set this massive expectation, you miss one day, and then you throw the whole thing in the trash because it's too hard. The Stoic secret isn't about complexity, it's about subtraction. It's about clearing the deck so you can actually see the horizon. There's a specific term for this, apatheia. It doesn't mean being a robot without feelings. It means being free from vibrant disturbances. It's that feeling you get when you're driving on a highway and there's no traffic, just a clear road and total focus. That's how your mind is supposed to feel every single morning. But instead, we wake up and immediately start adding weight. We add the weight of other people's expectations. We add the weight of yesterday's mistakes. We add the weight of a future that hasn't even happened yet. The 1% do the opposite. They wake up and they drop the bags. They realize that 99% of the things that pop into their head the moment they wake up are completely outside of their control. Think about it. Can you control if your boss is in a bad mood today? No. Can you control the weather or the stock market? No. Can you control what someone else posted on the internet while you were sleeping? Absolutely not. So why on earth is that the first thing you give your attention to? Epictetus, a slave-turned-philosopher, used to say that the most important task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that we can say clearly to ourselves which are externals not under our control, and which have to do with the choices we actually control. When you grab your phone in the morning, you are effectively saying, I want to worry about everything I can't change. It's insanity. It's like trying to steer a ship by jumping into the water and pushing against the hull. You're going to drown, and the ship isn't going to move. The 1% stay on the deck. They keep their hands on the wheel. They focus only on the internal architecture. This starts with a simple shift in language. Instead of saying, I have to do this today, they say, I get to do this. Instead of I hope today goes well, they say, I will make today go well, but if it doesn't, I will remain unshaken. This isn't some toxic positivity or manifesting nonsense. It's a tactical psychological framework. It's preparing for the storm before the first cloud appears. Imagine you're a boxer. If you walk into the ring and you're already looking at the crowd, worried about what people are saying, and thinking about what you're going to eat for dinner after the fight, you're going to get knocked out in the first round. You have to be locked in. The 1% morning is a lock-in phase. It's the time where they put on their armor, piece by piece. They use a technique called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. Now that sounds dark, but it's actually a superpower. They spend 30 seconds imagining what could go wrong. The car might not start. The meeting might be a disaster. Someone might be rude to them. By visualizing it early, they strip those events of their power. If it happens, they've already seen it. They don't react, they respond. They've already practiced their move. They aren't surprised by life, so they aren't controlled by it. While everyone else is waking up and hoping for a good day, the 1% are waking up and deciding to be good men and women, regardless of what the day throws at them. They've separated their happiness from their circumstances. They've realized that a bad day is just a series of events, but being defeated is a choice. And that choice is usually made in the first 10 minutes after the alarm goes off. Now, let's talk about the digital ghost that's haunting your bedroom. Most people think they're just checking the time or seeing if they missed an emergency, but scientifically, you're doing something much more dangerous. You're triggering a dopamine loop before your brain is even fully online. When you scroll, you're looking for a hit, a like, a funny video, a scandalous headline. Each one gives you a tiny spark of pleasure followed by a massive drop. By 8:00 am, your brain's reward system is already fried. You've used up your willpower fuel on things that don't move the needle for your life. The 1% understand that willpower isn't an infinite well, it's a gas tank. Every decision you make, even a decision as small as should I click this link, leaks a little bit of gas. If you spend your morning making 1,000 tiny decisions about which post to read or which email to stress over, you're going to be running on fumes by the time you actually need to do something important. This is why the world's highest performers automate their mornings. They remove the choice entirely. Seneca, one of the wealthiest and most influential Stoics in history, focused heavily on the idea of on-shortness of life. He argued that it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And nothing is a bigger waste of life than waiting for your day to start while you're staring at a screen. We act like we're going to live forever, so we throw away our mornings like they're garbage. But the 1% treat their morning like it's a limited edition asset. They know that once those minutes are gone, they are gone forever. There's a phrase the Stoics used, amor fati. It means a love of fate. It means embracing whatever happens. But you can't love your fate if you're too distracted to even see it. You can't own your day if you're letting an algorithm curate your reality. When you choose the 1% protocol, you're making a pact with yourself. You're saying, my time is more valuable than your ads. My peace is more important than your outrage. My mission is bigger than your distraction. Think about the silence of a morning before the world wakes up. That silence is a gift. It's the only time of day when no one is asking anything of you. No one is calling, no one is emailing, and the world is at a standstill. That silence is where your best ideas live. It's where your inner voice can finally speak loud enough for you to hear it. But most people are so scared of that silence that they drown it out with noise the second they wake up. They're afraid of what they might hear if they actually spent 5 minutes alone with their own thoughts. The 1% aren't afraid of the silence. They crave it. They use it to calibrate their internal compass. If you don't know where you're going, any wind will blow you off course. The morning is when you check your map. You ask yourself, who do I want to be today? What is the one thing I must accomplish to feel proud when I put my head back on the pillow tonight? If you don't ask these questions, you'll spend your whole day doing busy work instead of mission work. Imagine your life is a movie and you're the director. Most people wake up and let someone else write the script for the opening scene. They're just an actor following someone else's cues. But the 1% are the directors. They set the lighting, they pick the music, and they decide the tone. They know that if the first scene is solid, the rest of the movie has a much better chance of being a masterpiece. You don't need a fancy office or a high-powered job to start living like the 1%. You just need a no-fly zone, a period of time where the world cannot reach you. This is the ultimate luxury in the modern age. It's not a Rolex or a private jet. It's the ability to be unreachable for 60 minutes while you build your own mind. It's the ability to say no to the world so you can say yes to yourself. Here is the hard truth that nobody wants to admit. Your morning routine isn't failing because it's too short or because you don't have the right biohacking gear. It's failing because you're addicted to the chaos. We've become a society that's actually uncomfortable with peace. When things get quiet, we get twitchy. We feel like we're falling behind. That feeling? That's the itch of a mind that has lost its center. The 1% have realized that the most productive thing you can do in the morning isn't checking your to-do list, it's achieving a state of euthymia. This is a deep Stoic concept that means well-being of the soul. But a better way to think of it is knowing your path and not being distracted by the paths of others crossing yours. When you look at your phone in the morning, you are looking at 1,000 different paths. You're seeing a celebrity's path, your neighbor's path, a politician's path, and for a split second, you lose sight of your own. You start comparing your starting line to their finish line. You start feeling a subtle, low-level anxiety that you aren't doing enough, being enough, or having enough. The 1% understand that comparison is the thief of time. They don't look left, and they don't look right. They look straight ahead. They treat their morning like a ritual of self-containment. Think of a professional athlete in the tunnel before a big game. They have their headphones on. They aren't talking to the fans. They aren't checking their bank balance. They are visualizing the play. They are getting their heart rate into the optimal zone. That tunnel is what your bedroom should be. If you want to join that 1%, you have to stop treating your attention like a cheap toy you give away to anyone who asks for it. You have to treat it like a weapon that needs to be cleaned, oiled, and stored properly. If you use your weapon to hunt flies all morning, it's going to be dull when the big game shows up. The 1% save their bullets. They don't react to the petty stuff. They don't get drawn into the drama. They stay heavy. In the ancient world, gravity was a virtue, not the physics kind, but gravitas. It meant a sense of importance, weight, and seriousness. A man or woman with gravitas couldn't be easily moved. They weren't flighty. They didn't jump every time a bird chirped. Today, we've lost our weight. We're like autumn leaves, blown around by every breaking news alert and every urgent email that actually isn't urgent at all. Waking up like the 1% means reclaiming your weight. It means being the mountain, not the leaf. When you decide that the first hour of your day belongs to you and you alone, you are putting a stake in the ground. You are saying, "This is my territory." And when you do that, something strange happens. The world starts to respect you more. People start to notice that you aren't as reactive. You're calmer. You're more decisive. You have this thing about you that they can't quite put their finger on. That thing is autonomy. Most people are living dead in the mornings, just going through the motions, reacting to external stimuli like a lab rat in a maze. The 1% are awake before they even open their eyes. They have a mental blueprint for the day already drawn up. They know that the day will try to break them. They know there will be traffic, there will be difficult people, and there will be unexpected problems. But because they've already faced those things in their mind during the morning silence, they are immune to the stress. They've realized the ultimate Stoic hack: you can't control the world, but you can control the filter through which you see the world. If your filter is dirty, cluttered with social media garbage and morning stress, Everything you see all day will look ugly. But if you spend your morning cleaning that filter, the world looks different. Opportunities pop out where others see obstacles. Solutions appear where others see dead ends. You aren't working harder, you're just seeing more clearly. So, how do you actually cross that line? How do you go from being a leaf in the wind to the 1% commander of your own life? It starts with a concept the Stoics called ascesis. We get the word ascetic from it, but for them, it didn't mean living in a cave. It meant training. They viewed the mind as an athlete that needed daily reps to stay sharp. And the most important rep you will ever do is the very first one, the moment your hand moves toward that phone, and you stop it. That split second is the battlefield. It's where the war is won or lost. If you can win that 5-second struggle, you can win the hour. If you can win the hour, you can win the day. Most people think they need to change their whole life at once. They don't. They just need to win that one tiny 5-second window. The 1% don't have better willpower than you. They just have a better system for those 5 seconds. They don't leave their phone on the nightstand. They put it in another room. They don't rely on feeling motivated. They rely on environmental design. They know that if the phone is within arm's reach, they are going to reach for it. They are humble enough to admit their own weaknesses. They don't try to fight the temptation. They remove it. That is the difference between a beginner and a master. The beginner tries to resist. The master avoids the fight altogether. Once you've cleared the space, you have to fill it with something higher. Marcus Aurelius used to tell himself, "Look at the stars and see yourself running with them." He was reminding himself of the big picture. When you're staring at a screen, your world is 6 inches wide. It's tiny. It's cramped. It's full of petty nonsense. But when you look at the sky, or just sit in the stillness of your room, your perspective expands. You remember that you are part of a massive, ancient human story. You remember that your time here is a blink of an eye, and you shouldn't waste a single heartbeat on things that don't move your soul. The 1% use their morning to zoom out. They remind themselves of their mortality, memento mori. It sounds heavy, but it's actually the ultimate anti-stress tool. If you remember that today could be your last day, are you really going to spend 20 minutes of it looking at what a random influencer had for breakfast? Are you going to let a rude comment from a stranger ruin your mood? Of course not. When you realize how high the stakes are, you stop playing low-level games. This morning protocol is about building a sense of ataraxia, tranquility. It's the ability to remain calm while the world is screaming. Think of a high-level CEO or a surgeon. When things go wrong, they don't panic. They get quieter. They get more focused. They've trained themselves to find the still point in the middle of the storm. The morning is your training ground for that stillness. You are practicing being un-mess-withable. Imagine the power you'd have if nothing in the world could make you lose your cool. If you could face a mountain of work, a difficult conversation, or a personal setback with the same steady breath and clear eyes. That power isn't a gift from the gods. It's the interest earned on the investment you made at 6 am. While everyone else was spending their attention on trash, you were investing yours in your own character. The 1% know that life is essentially a game of attention management. Whoever controls your attention controls your life. If the media controls it, they own you. If your boss controls it, they own you. If your cravings control it, they own you. The only way to be truly free, to be the 1%, is to own it yourself. And the only time you can truly claim it is in that sacred window before the rest of the world wakes up and starts demanding a piece of you. The shift you're looking for doesn't happen in a gym or a boardroom. It happens in the quiet of your own mind before the world even knows you're awake. This is the final piece of the puzzle, the transition from doing to being. Most people spend their lives doing chores, doing work, doing what they're told. The 1% focus on being resilient, being focused, being the master of their own soul. They know that if they get the being right, the doing becomes effortless. When you walk out of your house after a 1% morning, you aren't just a person going to work. You are a force of nature. You have a radiance that comes from internal alignment. While others are stumbling through their day like zombies, reacting to every poke and prod, you are moving with a terrifying level of intentionality. You've already won the most difficult battle of the day, the battle against your own comfort. Everything else after that is just a victory lap. Think about the legacy you're building. Every morning is a micro-life. How you live your morning is how you live your day, and how you live your day is how you live your life. If you spend your mornings in a reactive digital haze, you are building a life of distraction and regret. But if you reclaim that time, you are building a masterpiece. You are joining the ranks of the Stoics, the leaders, and the builders who understood that a controlled mind is the only true wealth in this world. Tomorrow morning, the sun is going to rise whether you're ready for it or not. The world is going to try to steal your peace. The apps are going to try to hook your brain. The mob is going to be banging on the gates of your citadel. You have a choice. You can open the gates and let them trash the place, or you can sit in the silence, sharpen your sword, and decide exactly who you're going to be. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for the perfect time. The perfect time is the next time you open your eyes. That is your moment of truth. That is your invitation to the 1%. Take it. Because the world doesn't need more distracted people. It needs people who have found their center. It needs people who wake up into command, not chaos. If this message hit home for you today, do me a favor. Take 1 second, just one, and hit that like button to show the algorithm that focus matters. Share this with one person who's struggling to find their path, and subscribe to Stoic Origin to keep sharpening your mind every single day. The journey to the 1% starts now. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay stoic.